into round 5 of the Bridgestone production cars, and we are in Durban as part of the Top Gear festivities, racing to the limit on our only street circuit on the calendar. This is the Durban Street Race.
This Bridgestone production car racing action brought to you by Bolito Auto, a member of the SMD Group. On this show, all the action from the Durban Street Race, a part of the Super Series, and the next round of the Bridgestone Production Cars Championships in classes A and T.
For more information on our Production Car Championship, visit www.spcc.co.za.
In the Class A's, all the manufacturers are present and will be racing on the street circuit here at Durban. And when you move and look at the Class T's, all the manufacturers except the Renault will be out there doing battle.
At the midpoint of our championship, let's take stock and see who has controlled the season and who will have to make a charge till the end to have any chance of taking the prestigious crown of the 2013 Bridgestone Production Car Championship. In Class A, the top of the pile belongs to Engine Extremes, Michael Stephen, and when you look at his record for the season, you can see why. 0 DNFs, 4 wins, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, 4 fastest laps, and 2 pole positions, averaging 30.75 points per round. He is 24 points ahead of the next competitor and is commanding this season with consistency. But not only that, he also has the most wins to his name. In second place, and a recent charger, Melville Priest has been keeping Michael honest. He's been under his bumper on more than one occasion, and it's only a matter of time till the Mueller Sports Medicine Audi starts cashing in his chips. With 3 second places and 6 third places, the only thing missing is a win to his name. Melville is the only driver outside the Engine Extreme team to have 0 DNFs for the season. Currently in third place is Team Afrox and Pertec driver Etienne van der Linde. Not a bad effort by him and his team so far, but a dismal third round put him on the back foot, taking only 5 points home for the round. But nothing stopped van der Linde, who came back firing with the biggest points haul of the season at round 4, scoring 42 points at Swartkops, almost a clean sweep of all on offer for the day, only missing out in race 2 with a third. He took pole position, winner race 1 and 3, and fastest laps in all heats. And though that poker face gives nothing away, he has made his intentions well known. As mentioned earlier, Chops and his teammate are the only team to be carrying a clean record for DNFs. Chops is having one of his best seasons to date, already scoring 2 wins to his name, one at Kyalami and the second at his home track in PE. He has a massive fan base and support team, and averaging 21.5 points per round has put him in 4th place on the standings. Making up the top 5 is Johan Ferree. For much of the first half of the season, Johan was in 2nd position, having taken 4 podiums, but the 3 DNFs dampened his charge. The final spots in the standings are held by Gennaro Bonafide in the Ferroda S4, Henny Groenewald and Richard Pinard in the Sassel Racing Subarus. Class T has been a ding-dong battle between the reigning champion in the Indy Oil VW Golf 6 of Graham Nathan and Team Castrol Mini of Gavin Cronje. Cronje is leading the championship, but only by 3 points. His most successful round was round 4 at Swartkops, adding 35 points to his total for the season. Nathan's biggest round was round 1 at Kyalami, adding 34 points to his total. The lead was in Nathan's hands at the end of round 1 and 2, but Cronier stole it in the second race of round 3, only to hand it back by the end of the round. Round 4 was all going Nathan's way until he had his first DNF of the season in the feature race. This left the door open, and Cronier took full advantage of the situation by taking the win. Clawing back 20 points and giving him the lead, Cronier 108, Nathan 105, 8 podiums each, neck and neck. The gap to third place is 30 points, and the position is held by the young Stiglet in his Indy Oil Golf 6 GTI. He has been consistent in his challenge and taken 1 win, 1 second place, and 4 third positions. With only 1 DNF, Jacques Joubert is still within striking distance. This is his second year in the Bridgestone Production Car Championship, and he has the talent to take it all the way. Keep your eyes on him. This young gun has a successful career ahead of him. Fourth position is held by former champion Gary Formato. Debuting his brand new Castrol Ford Focus ST this season, Gary has been making adjustments to the new car, and everybody feels that the championship winning formula is starting to return. There is only a 4-point deficit to third place, but we all know that third is not in his sights. Gary is looking for the number 1 plate. He has 4 podiums for the season so far, but the number that stands out is his 4 fastest laps. This number has only been achieved by Nathan in second place and shows that Formato has the pace. When everything is working under the hood of the Castrol Ford Focus ST, Formato is unstoppable. Fifth place is held by Devon Robertson in the Liqui Moly Renault, taking his first win for Renault down in PE for round 3. Unfortunately, not making an appearance in Durban. This could harm his position in the championship. Lee Thompson took his first win for the year at the last round, and Michael van Rooyen has 2 wins to his name, so talent is not in shortage. Thompson lost out big in Cape Town with an engine failure, which put him a round behind, and van Rooyen has not had luck on his side either, with 5 non-scoring races this season. Sean Duminy unfortunately suffered a broken Achilles tendon during qualifying at round 3, and this has ended his season hopes. We look forward to his return and hope we will see his new Castrol Ford Focus ST again before the season ends. The previous model Fords are being driven by Garth Werberski and Nayaz Modek, and we look to them to throw the cat amongst the pigeons every now and again. There are still 4 rounds remaining after Durban. So who is going to take charge of the championship? Who will have what it takes to turn things around and take the crown for 2013? Let's get to the action. It's time to race on the streets of Durban. Blue skies and sunshine, and an aerial shot of the brand new layout for the Durban Street Circuit, which changes at turn 1 and turn 5, and also the hairpin bend. And, of course, more runoff area for the drivers, which, Matt, they said they really liked this year.
On board with our championship points leader, Michael Stephen, taking us through, showing us extremely close shots of these walls.
I like the play on words, by the way.
This is what it's all about. The idea of the track is just trying to tune in a little bit of the safety issues that came about in last year's championship. That's one of the chicanes. Hit through as a straight line, but there is no room for error at all. In the big braking markers, which arguably is going to be where the overtaking happens, we're just going through on there, you saw a massive straight line runoff. Watch for the guys who are boxed out on the outside. They've got nowhere to go but straight.
2 of the big challenges also out on the street circuit, not only the tight, twisty corners, but 2 chicanes, as you would. Very, very difficult to master, and you've got to really point the car in the right direction, otherwise you're going to clip walls.
Just past the second runoff point as well, so watch out. That's another one of the big overtaking maneuvers, and this extremely tight chicane, this is where the curbs can lift the car because they are raised curbs and they will flick you out to the wall.
There's no doubt about that. So what are we talking about? Just being on the money, driving maybe in the initial stages at 80% of your talent and the car's talent, and getting the car and yourself in the right mode and the right frame of mind, but concentration, absolutely key.
Qualifying is always going to be key on a street circuit where it's hard to make those passes, so qualifying is a big factor.
So Melville Priest, and he's been a man who's been on the tail cuffs of our reigning champion Michael Stephen. But another man to watch out there, and the Audi going really, really well, was Gennaro Bonafide.
Yes, he has made some mistakes by his own admission, but he has calmed it down. Qualifying now based on practice times, Michael Stephen and Priest will head up the front row, followed by Bonafide and Van der Linde.
Another BMW in the mix of Ferrari there, and then next to him is Chop Sapuka in the S4, and in Henning Krugerwald and Richard Pinot, both as Subarus in Durban.
And then a new kid on the block, Chris Budnick, stepping up to nationals.
Class T, we found both of those John Cooper minis on the front row. Thompson and Cronier with Jack Jabert and Graham Nathan. It's all golfs and all minis.
Teammate hunting. Then we go back to Michael Van Rooyen, lined up next to Werberski, getting to grips with the Ford, Formato and Modak, back of the pack.
World-class racing has come to Durban once again. It's street racing time, and Team Engine Extreme is here again. Looking forward to it this time around, Michael?
Yeah, we're always looking forward to it. You know, the layout's changed slightly from last year. Definitely a big improvement. One or two dangerous spots, but yeah, in general, it's an improvement from last year, and you know, looking forward to it.
Well, we obviously had a rather nasty incident in when the cars went out for the qualifying and involved the Subaru and Richard Pinnard, and we're waiting to see how he has evolving actually at the moment. It was a very, very nasty shunt, but enough about that. We know that the street circuit demands all your attention all of the time.
Yeah, it's you know, one of those things you've got to be concentrated all the time, but the problem is if you have a car failure or something like that, it's, you know, there's nothing you can really do. So the margin for error is very minimal. But yeah, you just got to go out there, race within yourself, and do the best.
You must be delighted also, your team, to be here in Durban again.
Yeah, look, it's the track's really great this year. You know, they made a few changes from last year. Street circuit racing is just something different. You know, there's not many guys in the world who will have an opportunity to race a street circuit. So for us, it's magic. It's lots of fun. Got to be on the limit, but make sure you clip the wall and don't hit the wall, you know?
Delighted to be back in Durban, Gennaro?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, last year we had a great race weekend here, taking the win in the golf. So we're now in an Audi, and the track's changed. Audi's a hell of a lot faster than the golf was last year. So it's great to be back in Durban. I think the people of Durban need something like this, and they're really excited.
Qualifying, it's been revisited because we had a certain incident, and it has put, in Class T, Lee Thompson in the John Cooper Works Mini out in pole position. Probably a great place to be under the circumstances.
So definitely the place to be on a narrow street circuit like this. It's a good thing for us. It just goes to show that you shouldn't be holding back in practice and not showing your hand, because things like this can happen. They took the quickest times of practice yesterday and put them in order to start this race. So it's good for me and Gavin. Good for Minis Championship, and look, it's a street circuit again, anything can happen, so we'll just take it as it comes.
Gavin Cronier, second quickest, a revisited qualifying, not ideal, but you'd rather be second than third.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it's really about managing the championship this weekend. You know, the street circuit is risky. You can have a big reward, yeah. You can also have a big loss, you know. So we want to get through the weekend unscathed if possible, and if I can finish ahead of Graham, that's my modus operandi.
It wasn't all plain sailing, as you can see. The Subaru of Richard Pinnard slammed it on the wall, found himself in hospital.
And that meant the team packed up shop and went back to Gauteng. No racing for the Subarus on the streets.
So we finally get underway for the racing. We're being here all this morning, and I'm pretty excited that we can get this underway.
Yeah, it's going to be a different looking start as well. No grid lineup as we know it in a traditional sense. A single file start, controlled, and a rolling start. So Michael Stephen has all the advantages at the moment.
Well, let's tell our viewers why he's on pole.
Yeah, I mean, because of the red flag situation coming out in qualifying due to the smash into the wall of the Subaru, they couldn't actually go out and qualify as they normally would, so the times were taken from fastest in practice. That's why you see a couple of different lineups down the grid.
This is one of the corners that caused a lot of chaos last year as we were down here last year. That corner has been revisited and no longer a runoff, and they clear that out. They get really into racing the first corner, not under yellows, it's all green, and now we get on the pace.
Under the bridges, we pick up on Budnick already. What a baptism of fire for Budnick. First time out into the full national championship, and he is on the streets with the walls around him, and now he's got the Class T's around him.
Yeah, he's going to mix it up in where he doesn't really want to mix it up with the likes of Big Dog, Nathan, and also the likes of the Fords in there as well. Very experienced drivers. This boy is going to get a baptism on fire of note.
Yeah, he is really in the mix at the moment, and this is a very thin, skinny section of the track. He's going to be causing some problems, and that's what's making the gap at the moment. The Minis are legging it away. At the front of the big pack, though, the Class A's, it's all Audis.
Yeah, it is. And, of course, surprisingly, you say that Ferrari and Fundelina are nowhere in this picture at the moment.
And we always say that because a rolling start generally is where we see the best starts coming out of the BMWs. That's where they are really good. But I think they were a little bit blinded going into the first turn.
That's a steering wheel, not a stick.
Yeah, I know. But the story was Yellows, single file, all the advantages taken away, and you can see the gap already. That's well over a second off the back wheel of Bonafide, who we'll go on board with, where you go back and pick up on the two BMWs, who are going to have to work together and smooth it out to get to these guys.
Yeah, well, for Bonafide, it's been a learning curve, as it always is. He's come up in the ranks in the GTI 6s. He finds himself playing with a really nice piece of machinery at the moment. And he's had a couple of really, I would say, difficult times in the Audi, getting involved in things he shouldn't have got involved in. And it also comes with maturity, Matt. He is growing.
He has put his hand up a few times and said it was my fault, but taking all that aside, he's a very talented driver, and they seem to have tuned this car to within an inch of its life on the straight line speed. Gennaro Bonafide's car is up there with the potential to pass these boys. But how do you pass on a track like this? You pass not under power, you pass on brakes.
So, as we continue on board with Melville Priest, and he is one of the usual protagonists, and he's had a really good season, a very consistent season at the moment, and he's also one of the drivers that hasn't had a win under his belt. The question is, when?
Yeah, I think he really is going to be frustrated because of the advantage being taken away, and Melville Priest will probably tell you that if he could have gone out and thrown a qualifying time, he would have got pole position, because that's the style and the head that he had on coming into this event. As it turned out, though, he had to line up in the 2 spot, and that's where he's stuck.
Young Joubert, the Stiglet in the Golf 6, and also has had a remarkable season. His second season, his debut was last year, but he was saying earlier on in the pits, we were chatting to him, he was saying the minis were incredibly quick. Well, we can see this from the pictures now.
Yeah, they have tuned their car specifically for straight line speed, and this circuit, even though it's got a lot of stop-start, it has got very long straights. In fact, longer than some of the Swartkops and Kyalami straights on our traditional circuits.
So Thompson pulling out a little lead on his teammate Gavin Cronje, the Ginger Ninja, with him the only Golf 6 in the picture. And how surprising is that not to see Nate Dogg in the picture too?
Yeah, Nathan again a victim of the practice/qualifying situation. Saw him lining up on the second row. Didn't get the drop. Georges Joubert pulled something like 4 car lengths out of him coming out of the first 2 turns. So he is on the back foot right now.
Wow, look at these white lines in the middle of the road. And I mean, this is no joke. You can actually see how quick they're going.
The drivers are saying that they have to look at the inside wall. If you look at the outside, you will miss your line.
So Priest following Michael Stephen right on his coattails, and Gennaro Bonafide, as we said earlier on, the 3 Audis, the S4 supercharged Audis, are out in front and are dominating the BMWs for now.
Look how far Gennaro was going into that set of S's there. Through the chicanes, that's where the young kid is extremely brave. But all the while, Michael Stephen is just pushing home his advantage. He is breaking the pack, and he is getting away. There is clear air for the first time between the back of the Engine Extreme Audi and Melville Priest's car.
We have seen on the last lap those cars lifting off, as you said earlier on. The back right here, in fact, is one of the places where they do. So we're talking about the stability, the suspension, and these cars fired up for straight line speed, but they've got to get some handling right on these corners.
Yeah, Bonafide squirming under brakes going in there. Definitely running some of the tightest lines out there in the Ferodo colours. And why we're seeing the Audis at the front is because of the stop-start nature. Yes, the long straights are there, but you've got to get the power and the hammer down coming out the turns, and that's where the Quattro system is really paying dividends.
Budnick in the monster BMW. I think that's an old E90, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be. But he's under pressure on now.
Yeah, confirmation E90, the old BMW shape out there, can still hustle around the street circuit, but he is in the mix at the moment with the back end. And it's strange to say the back end of the Class Ts. These Fords haven't got the package for the streets just yet.
Well, it's interesting to note, Matt, because of the Fords. Now, we saw it at Swartskop the previous round. Sean Dumi was out with an injury. Wilburski came in. Modak bought one of those cars. But these are running the old version of the STIs.
Yeah, confirmation. The 2 new cars are Dumini and Fumoto. The 2 older cars, last year's extremely well-packaged cars as well, are the 2 new drivers that have come in.
All right, front end of Class A, and it's still Michael Stephen who's out in large and in charge right now, and he's still got those Audis on his coattails. Ferrari and van der Linde are just trying to make up ground, but look at the gap. It's a monstrous gap.
It's going to be hard, and it's a bit of a surprise because we know the straight line brute horsepower and speed of the BMWs is a huge advantage. But it's through the tighter technical sections where they are great on the brakes, but getting out of the corners, we know the BMWs do spin the back tires, and it's just not working in this slow and tight technical nature of the track.
This was the corner as they're coming round where we saw absolute chaos last year. They involved the Minis, Graham Nathan was involved, your Humphrey. In fact, those 2 collided on that very corner on the runoff area. So they've changed all of that right now. So far, no incident, which really bodes well.
And remember, Steve, beginning of the season was all about Johan Ferrari. He came came out swinging, getting into the Afrox Pertec BMW and looking good. But of late, it's been his teammate, Van der Linde, who is coming on song.
I'm looking at these minis, these John Cooper Works minis right now, and everybody is saying they're fast, and you can see it right now. But look at where they've come from. Their debut in Pakisa last season. They've had tinkering problems. They've had ambient heat problems. They're running new brakes, a new Akrapovic exhaust. In fact, so are the Golfs.
Oh, understeer. I saw that on the braking marker. Joubert, understeer, lost the front end, had to come off the brakes and tag the wall. The slightest of touches. Here we go. He's offline. He's working the wheel. The car isn't turning all the way, and it's just a nick there. Now, even though it's just a nick, it could have caused damage to the steering.
I fully agree with you. I mean, it doesn't take much really to actually send these cars into the wall and change the steering and change the suspension as well. But he seems to be okay at the moment. So the Stiglet has got away with this one.
Yeah, he was actually closing up on the second of the minis as well. So that's a bit of a heartbreaker. Now he's going to be delicate for the next lap or so, trying to feel his way around the car. Look at the gap. It's more than 2 seconds. It was well within a second last time around.
You know, I'd love to say what's really on my mind, because he really got a wake-up call there, didn't he?
He certainly did. I mean, climbing the walls is no joke at all. But that's the 1, 2, and 3. You've got to go a long way back to pick up on 4th place, which, from my eye, should still be Nathan, but he's a long way off.
Oh, look at the control of Gavin Cronier through this tight, twisty bit. The Moses Mabhida Stadium.
This is a mistake. There's our race leader mistake. Thompson outbraking himself, and thank goodness that runoff was there. That was a new section of the track with a long runoff. He just pushed it in there a little bit too hard. No pressure on him as well. Unforced error, ran it deep, and now we got a new leader.
Well, Gavin Cronier is such the nice guy that it'll probably say Thompson gave it to him. So here they come, 1 and 2 for the minis, and Thompson's going to be a bit disappointed because he was on pole, and through that error is now in 2nd place. But a great result for both of these, for the team, if they can get through 1 and 2.
A slower lap there as well, because Cronier wasn't quite sure where to go when he came up on his slower teammate. So they both had to back out of it. A small advantage given back to Jacques Joubert, but he hasn't really made an advantage and come closer to them. In fact, it looks like he may have dropped even further off the back, so the touch that he had on the wall is causing him some issues.
Yeah, but he's got a really big safety net right now, because the Fords and also Nathan are just not in it at the moment.
Let's talk about championship for a second while we're talking about the minis, because Cronier is the man and has been the man for the last couple of rounds. This is just proving the point and pushing it home. Nathan, who was closest to him in the championship, is way out.
I think also you'll find not only are there independent drivers within the team, but you'll find that from a manufacturer's point of view and the overall team, that they are really driving for the team and not as independent drivers, although they are at the end of the day.
We'll look at that deep into the corner there for Van der Linde. Also almost grabbing the wall where Jacques Joubert did, and he is under pressure. Ferrari looks like he is definitely closing up there, trying a couple of different lines, trying to figure things out. He needs to get through on his teammate. You can see he's starting to get a little bit desperate, especially in the braking markers.
These Bridgestone tyres are...
Oh! That was our race leader, Michael Stephen, climbing the curb and clipping the right-hand side. Now, that car is a left-hand drive car, so he wouldn't have seen how close he was. You see a little twitch there as well. He just needed to see how the car was feeling.
He sure as hell is going to see it when he finishes on his GoPro later on. I'll tell you, that was close. Amazingly close.
Watch this. Melville Priest were on board with him in 2nd place. Michael Stephen deep into the corner, clips the apex perfectly, and just glances the wall. In fact, just to show you how close it was the bottom of his wing mirror that actually scraped the wall. That thing's still there.
Insane. Insane. Final lap for Michael Stephen, and he's lucky to be there. Priest on his tails. There's Gennaro Bonafide, the 3 S4s in a row, line of stern, and there's not much Gennaro can do with catching Melville Priest right now.
The street race is really delivering, Steve. I thought we were going to see someone break away, but Melville Priest has kept it extremely honest. That gap has never been more than a second.
Well, his consistency in the championship is well-deserved. He hasn't had any DNFs as far as I'm concerned that I know of, and that's really why he is 2nd in the championship at the moment. But you know what? He'll feel, and so will Gennaro Bonafide. Both of those two have got... Oh, wow.
Gennaro, sorry to interrupt there, Steve. Gennaro is hopping that curb, and the back end of that Ferodo car is so close to the wall, it is unreal. And he's done that every single lap. He's very comfortable to run it on the ragged edge.
It wasn't you that stopped the conversation. It was what Gennaro Bonafide did. I just went, oh my goodness.
So Michael Stephen working the wheel there. The tyres have worked hard, believe you and me. Those Bridgestone tyres have been asked a lot of, because heavy braking, heavy acceleration, and my goodness, just to stay in a straight line has been an ask.
Well, there's another thing to consider here, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. There is not enough rubber down in this because, after all, this is only a street circuit. Not enough traffic on here. It's not like our usual circuits we go around the country to. Lots of rubber down there. So there's a slippery surface. There's a very tight surface to be running on. There's the checkered flag. So Michael Stephen wins it and bags himself 10 points in the championship. Of course, race number 2 will be the one because it counts double the points.
Audi domination at the front. The BMWs come through. In the Class T's, it has been domination by the Minis. But the most of the race was dominated by Thompson, and he will be kicking himself for outbreaking himself at the three-quarter mark.
The Stigler gets on the podium again, also knocking up those points. And here come 1 and 2 for the John Cooper Works Minis. Well done, Gavin Cronje. As they go through the street, they'll pick up the checkered flag right now. Thompson won't have an answer. There it is. 1 and 2 for the John Cooper Minis. An outstanding result for the team on the day. And back further in the distance will be the approaching Stigler, Jacques Joubert.
Yeah, so here we go. The championship leader. He has been the man at almost every single round we've been to so far, and he's the king of the streets. In the Class T's, another championship leader comes good in Durban.
So let's get the official results as they stand for Class A. Michael Stephen, Melville Priest, Gennaro Bonafide, Etienne van der Linde.
Then Johan Fourie could not get through on his teammates. In the Class T's at the front, it was the Minis. Cronje, championship points leader. Thompson threw it away at the three-quarter mark. Jacques Joubert was in third for a while, then Graham Nathan a long way off.
Michael van Rooyen in the crews for Malta, Weberski and Moda picking up the 3 Fords. Stuck it on pole position, was on pole, took it from flag to flag, but wow, you had to drive the socks off that car, Michael.
Yeah, it was really a hard race. I managed to get away in the first 2 laps, and then lap 3, lap 4, it looked like Melville was coming a bit, so I thought I better push because, you know, the grid for race 2 is determined by fastest lap in race 1. So I pushed. I had a moment, two laps from the end, I clipped the wall. Fortunately, no damage, and we could bring it home to the end.
You and your team must be absolutely delighted with the way things have been going for you.
Yeah, the team's doing an excellent job. You know, Gennaro and myself have been up there now the whole year. You know, so it's just a matter of keeping it consistent, making sure you always got a quick car on the weekend. You know, and we got to start catching the other cars now. You know, Michael's in front all the time. It's time to get past and put us 1-2 now.
Melville had you in certain parts of the thing, but you were charging a tough race. Very limited place to overtake.
No, for sure. I mean, this track is insane, and the racing's so close between us 3. I think our pace is very, very similar. You know, it was a close race for us. I fell away a little bit towards the end of the race. Just, you know, everything just takes its toll, and. But it's much harder than what it looks out there.
A man who did really well in qualifying, but managed to get the win today in race number 1, the Ginger Ninja, Gavin Cronje. Well done. It was tough out there on man and machine, as I said.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's no forgiveness here. You make a mistake and you're in the wall, so there has to be a little bit of margin. I have to say, Lee helped me to the win, so we've got a championship to look after, as I said before. Graham has been struggling a little bit, so it's an ideal opportunity to try and open some points up, get a bigger lead, and that's what we're doing.
You've got to be happy on the podium again, Jacques. A consistent performance, but boy, it was scary, and you had some close shaves out there.
Yes, indeed. Well, the car's been prepared amazingly. The Centro Indy Oil is working perfectly with the GTR 6 of ours down here in Durban. We love the Top Gear Street Festival, as you guys saw last year. We're in the new one, and so far the Minis are unbeatable, but we're trying our heart out, and unfortunately for myself, I'm overdriving the car a little bit, but I'm really trying hard, and the car's amazing so far.
Why is production cars so popular?
Steve, I think it's because the man in the street can relate to them. You know, people, when they buy motor cars, it's a passionate purchase. It's not always done with the head. And you want to know that you've bought the right car, and you can see your car out on the track racing against the various manufacturers, Audi, BMW, Ford, the whole toots, and you can see your car winning, and it's great. And that guy can come to the showroom on Monday morning and buy his car.
Well, Sean, nice hanging out with you, and we look forward to seeing you again. And, of course, your dealer, Bolito Auto, and here and your whole team and the family and support and friends. And we look forward to your very, very quick return to production car racing.
Thank you, Steve, and we're going to give it a big bash, make sure that we can get this motorsport thing right.
All right, have a great day.
Thanks, Zach. Ciao.
So chatting to Sean Dubany and the race day sponsored by Bolito Auto. And it was blue skies and sunshine and part of the Top Gear Festival, Matt.
Yeah, it was nice for the crowds as well to get into the pits, meet some of the South African celebrity drivers as well.
Yeah, and also South African celebrities. There was Dave Gaselli, we just had a brief encounter with as well, doing his thing from East Coast Radio. The kids were out in force, and people came down and were really enamored by what they saw.
Yes, it was a motorsport festival, that's the idea. And we also had the Red Bull race car there. Man, this thing's amazing.
Yeah, the RB7, absolutely fantastic, won the 2010 championship and defended its championship. And you would think that the driver driving it here would be the test driver, which is Buemi. But this time around, it was part of the junior Red Bull team, which is also Antonio Felix da Costa. And he drove that RB7 around this circuit very quickly indeed.
Stay with us, because coming up after the break, it's race number 2 from the Durban Street Race. Bridgestone production cars, classes A and T.
Round number 5 championship, proudly brought to you by Bolito Auto, a part of the SMD group.
This continued Bridgestone production cars racing action, proudly brought to you by Bolito Auto, a member of the SMD group.
What a way to be greeted. It's day 2 and the sun rises on Durban, and there's the Moses Mabhida Stadium. We're all part of the Top Gear Festival. Of course, we're looking forward to what should be outstanding racing match.
This is what it looks like. Grid for day number 2. Michael Stephen, Melville Priest, Johan Fourie, he got a good lap in, and Gennaro Bonafide.
Etienne van der Linde in the BMW alongside Chop Sapurka. And first time out in a national championship, Chris Budnick in the BMW.
The grid for Class T looks like this, based on their fastest laps from the first race. Lee Thompson, Gavin Connier, Jacques Joubert, Graham Nathan, so no change there.
Somewhere are the Fords, and there they are. Gary Formato, alongside him in the crews, Michael van Rooyen, Garth Werberski, and Nias Modak. Standing here with legendary driver Gary Formato, Class T, just outside the fastest lap times. Of course, it's been a bit different, Gary, because they've set the grid positions based on what was happening in the first race, the fastest times. Unfortunately, you weren't in there, but it's really tough out there.
Yeah, it is. Like, I think we start a place up from where we finished yesterday, so I'm not happy about that. But yeah, it is difficult. I mean, you need a car that gives you a lot of confidence at a circuit like this, and we've just had a few things where, you know, the brakes, for example, are not working the way I'd like them. And to be honest with you, I'm just taking it easy. I mean, trying to keep the car off the wall and get to the end of the weekend. It's tough. I mean, the minis are very fast, and Jacques went extremely quick yesterday. So, yeah, you know, if we want to drive up there, we're going to have to push really hard. So, hopefully the car's a bit better today. We did find something in it yesterday. We'll give it a go. 16-lap race, long time, half an hour basically. So, lots of concentration needed today.
So the teams will have been spinning the spanners, and they've had the time overnight, which is very different to the normal tour, to get things right. You're going to see some new lap times coming out. There is more rubber down. We spoke about the fact that the course was very green on the first day. Now we expect to see the times tumble.
Well, hopefully the Fords will be in that time tumbling, because they've been nowhere as of the first race. So, and also another man that will need to improve will be Michael van Rooyen. He's been nowhere.
Particularly Nathan as well. He's running second in the championship. This does count for points, and at the moment he is getting done over badly by the minis.
Here's the top boys in Class A, looking quite relaxed. Michael Stephen with a win under his belt. Also a man in the championship and second in that championship, Melville Priest. And he'll want to prove something to Michael Stephen. Of course, Gennaro Bonafide is the one to watch.
So let's remind ourselves, the way they line up on day number 2 for race number 2 of the Bridgestone production cars is how they qualified and their fastest time of the first day. Unfortunately, Melville Priest was not able to go faster by himself, and that's why he's once again going to be lining up behind this man, Michael Stephen.
There's the man with the number 1 finger, and he is the reigning champion, not just for last year, but the year before that. And this year, he will be going for an historic 3-year win in champions back-to-back. Never been done before in production history.
The guys might not be pushing him hard on points, but on the track, they're right on him.
So, a rolling start, and they will go single file in this rolling start. Yellow flags into the first corner to make sure they get all through this nice and tidy. We've been decimated a few times with cars. Some of them, also lucky, have hit the wall lightly, but they're still there.
A no-show, really, for the first race for Chop Sapurka. So we're waiting to see if he can come good. We know he's the king, normally, on the tour of the second race. But no inversion this time around. He has to do the hard work from the back.
Fourie all over the back bumper of Melville Priest as it all comes through the first corner. Now we get some real racing as we go into that very kind of like loose first right-hander. They get to start to build up speed. Remember, the tricky bit is coming up very shortly. You've got a nice little kink there. It's a left-hander, and then another one to watch out for before they get to the chicane. So, tricky business indeed.
Yeah, the pack is already broken as well. You can see the top two Audis breaking away. Melville Priest just so good in the early laps. But this time around, a make-up and a shake-up in the front running. Ferrari was running third. I think he clipped the wall. If he didn't clip the wall, he's definitely lost gears. He was running third place, and Gennaro Bonafide comes through.
Replay. Let's have a look at it again, Matt. Just take us through it.
Yeah, he's got the inside curve there, does get the bounce, gets clipped to the wall, and I think he's done some serious damage to his steering because he would normally just be bearing it and driving whatever through.
Behind the safety car, this is not what we wanted, but it's going to bode well for the championship leader at the moment, and that's Michael Stephen, who's got basically a win under his belt.
That's just bad news for Ferrari.
Oh, problems. Yeah. Mini, that's Lee Thompson.
While that was all going on, Thompson outbraking himself and unfortunately having gearbox problems, lost all his gears pretty much coming into that braking marker and dumped a ton of oil in the braking marker. That's going to be scary.
Oh, scary, you think? Oh, my word, I've got a better word for that. That's going to be a monster scare out there.
Yeah, just bring those walls a little bit closer every single time. So, restart once again. Stephen, he is so good at this.
So, chased down by Melville Priest. We've got the green flags, but we will know, and the drivers will know, there's going to be oil on this track. In fact, for almost, and there it starts there. That's the first corner.
Yeah, change of surface into the first corner, but mercifully offline. So, it's only going to affect you if you're trying to drive around the outside in the braking markers. It can happen.
Well, you know, unfortunately for Chop Sapuka, it is rolling starts down here and not those standing starts, which he's become very accustomed to actually doing very well indeed.
Check it out in the tees, though. Formato did throw a very respectable lap in the first heat, so he is going to be charging hard. He's got a good lineup. He runs in fourth place right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been speaking to him off and on, and look at the dust being thrown up from the cement that they've thrown down. The Marshall's doing a good job, as they always do. But going back to Formato, he's just so relaxed.
What on earth happened to Melville Priest there? Melville missed a gear.
No, he's blown an engine. He's blown an engine.
Melville just went backwards at a rapid pace.
Oh, he's still there. No, he's not.
Yeah, he's there, but he's not going to be there for much longer. He had a big problem coming out of the first sector, and he has gone backwards quickly.
Well spotted, because I completely missed that. We were talking about Formato, so absolutely a question surrounding Melville Priest, and is there damage to this car? We have to ask the question, is there damage?
Yeah, it was on the rev limiter there, and you can see smoke out of the engine. He's asked too much of it. The car has gone pop. That's going to be even more oil on the track.
You're like the prophet of doom and gloom, you are.
Sorry about that. Look at the smoke coming out of that. That's rings.
Fried.
Everything. That's one cooked Audi.
Can we get some chicken with it?
Yeah, Durban chicken.
So, let's have a look at this as they really sort and get the car off Melville Priest. And this will be his first DNF.
Yeah, he has been captain consistency this year. We talk about it, and another safety car. So no one has really broken away.
We had some gear selection problems coming down into the last chicane, and I think we just buzzed the engine a bit. Coming down here, the engine just let go in a large fashion, so that's it. Unlucky. We were lying good for second place, so yeah, just unlucky.
So in layman's terms, he was over-revving the engine, couldn't find the gears, went past the red line and went kaboom.
And in layman's terms, he's a little peeved.
Yeah, man, that's a real shame as well. It's going to hurt his championship, but look who gets the benefit. Gennaro Bonafide, all of a sudden, on the bumper of our race leader.
And also, it's not going to be difficult to actually commentate on this race. We've got 4 cars left in Class A. What's happening?
No, they've been dropping hard, unfortunately, but they will keep it tight. The cars that are at the front there are the guys that have been coming on song, and I think day 2, race number 2, we're going to see very close racing at the front.
Look at Jack Jabert. He's relentless. He's still in there in the mix. He got a 30 on the podium again, race number 1, and now he wants a bit more. I'm not saying he's greedy, but he likes a lot.
Yeah, Lee Thompson has been moved aside, so as far as the overalls go, and in points, Jacques has been looking very consistent. He has been pushing the front end of that car, particularly in that zone, in that corner. That's where he clipped the wall, and he's still battling with a little bit of understeer. So he's on the Mini right now, but I don't think it's going to be for long.
And I would have to say danger signals ringing really large because Graham Nathan's behind him, and we know what he can do.
Here is one of our kings of heat number 2, race number 2, and it is all about Chop Sapuka, sitting in 4th place, right on the back wheel of Van der Linde, who was the king of the previous round at Swartkops.
Absolutely, 100%. He picked up a really good bag of points on that day, but not looking it's going his way. What a great start of the Moses Mabidi Stadium. We've talked about that earlier on. We're in the centre of Durban, and we're at the Top Gear Festival race.
I told you we had a race in our hands this time. Bonafide has been turning the screws. The team were very confident coming down here. He ran incredibly good form and pace when he was down here in the Golf, and he says he loves it even more with a more powerful car. He is hassling for this win.
Yeah, Chop Sabuka without his fan base, because we can't see them around this track at the moment, so he won't be able to hear them or see them shouting. But coming back to Gennaro Bonafide, he looks up for it.
He certainly does. Graham Nathan now with Formato on his tail. This is going to be a nice... Oh, here we go. Into the braking markers. A change of line. Formato shoves it up the inside. There was definitely a gap there, and Nathan will know that. But there was contact as well.
I think he's got a problem, mate. I think Nathan has got a problem. You don't get past Nathan that easily. No. I mean, particularly not on a street circuit like that.
And it looked like he left the door open for Formato to go through, because Formato's line told me that he was ready to just follow him through. And last minute, had to change line.
Well, I think you're 100% correct. I thought that there was a problem with Nathan's car, but it looks like there was the problem with Gary Formato. No brakes. Drives into Graham Nathan. That's the problem. That's what happened. Oh, apologies. Oh, that's all right then.
Oh, that's okay then. Yeah. But yeah, you could see the car was swapping all over the place. He was really battling to get it stopped, and it was either shove right up the back end of Nathan's car and send him off track, or try and glide through on the inside. There was contact. It could have been worse.
Because when I get home and I brake, sometimes I can put my hand up.
Look at the front end of his car, though. It's going to affect him. It's not plain sailing. And look how it's dragging on the front of that Ford Focus ST. That thing goes under the wheels. There's big trouble.
He's dragging his lip.
Yeah, I think he'll actually be smiling at the end of this one, to be honest. But Nathan will definitely be dragging his lip.
Well, he is, absolutely. Car number T21. That is Nathan in all sorts of trouble. And he might have to come into the pits if he's still circulating, but there's enough in his field that if he gets back out, he could secure some points.
This is 1 and 2 in the Class Ts, and Jacques Joubert is pushing that GTI to the limit. But again, it's under braking and forcing the front end in where he's losing it a little bit. He is getting incredibly good drive down the straight, and this is where we can start talking about some of the performance figures out of these cars as we see them on the screen. The Mini in a straight line can throw 200 k's an hour. The GTI only 193, so it's actually under cornering where the GTI is making up some time.
Yeah, he's also got to be careful because he's young at heart and enthusiastic, and he's got to be very careful not to overdrive the car.
You see how hard on the gas Gennaro was coming out that corner, and he's climbing the curbs the highest, but he is cooking his rubber. Those Bridgestone tyres on Gennaro's car are spinning up. He's not getting the drive out the corners that Michael Stephen is. Yeah, he's having to do it all on the brakes.
I'm sure I saw a sign at the side of the racetrack going, slide it, baby.
There is Nathan parking it in, and that's definitely going to be a suspension and a handling situation. When Formato hit him up the inside there, the wheels were turned, and that's never a good sign.
Well, let's hope that's not permanent damage, but our Focus Class A, and this is a ding-dong battle. We've got 2 S4s out here, and the reigning champion, and we've got the young gun. It is Gennaro Bonafide, and he's not letting Michael Stephen have it his own way. This is what we call world-class racing.
This is it. This is what I'm talking about. Under braking, mid-corner there, Gennaro is really closing things in. And we saw in the first race how strong his car was in a straight line. Over-rev there for the Engine Extreme Audi. So these guys are on the ragged limit. And it just shows you they are the class of the field, because you've got to go something like 7 seconds back to pick up on third place.
So Bonafide still chasing him down. Stephen hard on the brakes through the little chicane. He gets it so close to the wall. Nathan, well, we were right. We called it. He's going to come back out. He can't really do anything about the race result, but he can certainly pick up some points, there's no doubt.
And that's what it is. Points make prizes. We know this. Nathan is so good at that. A bad day for him, he can manage it at least.
Wow, look how dominant they are. We have not seen a BMW and that of Etienne van der Linde in the picture yet.
No, he really hasn't been able to get through the traffic, and the reason he hasn't come through, there are only 4 cars in the Class A's, but the reason Etienne van der Linde isn't making headway is he is dealing with Chop Sapuka. And on this track, you've got to just stare at your mirrors and block the lines.
Perfect conditions, but a little oil down on the track makes it even more skillful for these drivers, but the two are going head-on-head at the moment. Stephen, oh, Bonafide all over him, brilliant stuff. And you're right, he gets the drive out there a lot better than what Stephen does.
Yeah, the way I see the lines developing here as well, Michael Stephen isn't using the racing lines as we know them in a traditional sense. He's starting to block. Watch this. Down the straight, he'll start fading across to the right-hand side. Left as we go on board with him. Yeah, he is keeping Bonafide guessing, because this is where Bonafide can stand a chance of an overtaker.
Yeah, very difficult through that very thin chicane. It's like a mini chicane. Then they come into this, past the straight finish line. Then they come into this right-hander. Wow.
Oh, the GoPro camera is just showing how close that was. There were millimeters in it.
I felt like I was in the engine there for a second.
I stepped back. So Bonafide charging and pushing on. And what Michael Stephen is doing is actually backing him up in the mid-corner. He is rolling off the throttle and making the man behind him do it as well. So I think he knows that Bonafide's actually got the beating of him, and he's just going to block.
Yeah, I totally concur with that, totally. I mean, it's exactly what's happening out there. And there goes the mini. So, Gavin Cronje, Lee Thompson's out. So, this looks like this could be a double win and maximum points for the Ginger Ninja.
Yeah, our championship points leaders are looking on song to do the biz, and here we go. We are into Lap City. This will be Modak. He's going to be the first driver to get eaten. No, it's Waberski. Waberski moves way over and pulls his elbows in tight.
He must say, you can have it, boys. Just go and get it.
This is one of the scariest corners on the track, particularly because you come from dark to light. Under that bridge, you just cannot see the apex.
So Waberski right at the back of Class T. I don't know whether he's right at the back. We haven't seen Modak for a while, but we know the faults are still out there. But right now, it's all about Michael Stephen and Gennaro Bonafide. That's the car we're watching from the rear end of Michael Stephen right now. They are driving impeccably.
Oh, what's bad news for Bonafide at the moment as we look back at the man in second place in the Ferrodo colours on the Audi. The problem is, Melville Priest was in exactly the same spot for the entire first race. Couldn't find his way through. Bonafide finds himself in the exact same seat. It's a longer race this time. Both of these cars have chewed all their rubber. You can see the lap times have tumbled. They are spinning their tires and they are missing their braking markers. This is just survival now.
Yeah, well, we have said that both of these packages, and they both improved. That of Melville Priest and Gennaro Bonafide. Oh, great little left-hand slide out of there. I'm really on the money here.
Okay, hang on a second. He tried right-hand side. He's tried left-hand side. That is where he is the stronger. Just before we come into this very tight chicane. So watch out for that zone next time around, Steve. That's where he is getting big drive.
Right, we're running out of laps, that's for sure. There was a 16-lapper, and there's not many places. Let's just have a look at this under the microscope. Where effectively could Bonafide have a gap? We've identified one place.
Yeah, I think he is so good in the mid-corner. This is where Michael Stephen is backing him up. So if Michael Stephen's backing him up here, it means Bonafide is strong coming into this zone.
It's very, very close. These pictures don't really tell the true story.
This is coming into a braking marker here. You're on the limit, on the left-hander the whole way through. Then it's bang down the brakes, bang down the gears into second gear. Bonafide is extremely strong through this sector here. He bounces the curbs, but that time around actually didn't get the drive.
Yeah, well, we didn't see much of a difference in terms of the last lap they did in terms of the distance. But, oh, now he gets the... See, this is where he's really strong. He really does. But then again, Michael has to get on the brakes hard. So it does allow Bonafide to close the gap and also gets on. So who is the latest braker here?
Well, Bonafide is definitely the latest braker, but Michael Stephen is the wisest braker. He's braking earlier in the zone and not allowing the driver behind him to get on. This is really a game of chess right now. This is the zone where I'm talking about. This is where my money is. This is the closest he's been as well. But he's getting blocked.
Well, after all, we do say this is world-class racing, and we do have a Bishop, a Dunamy, and a Priest in this series.
Exactly that. But I think it's done. If he wasn't going to do it there, he wasn't going to do it anywhere, and he knew it. The flag is out. And race number 1, race number 2, in the hands of Stephen, and a big thumbs up. That was just pure respect for Bonafide.
Absolutely agree with you. So here we come, the Ginger Ninja, Class T. The John Cooper Mini will go through this little apex and then pick up the checkered flag for a full house of points, bar a qualifying and a fastest lap. Well, what is impressive here is Jack Javert.
That's going to help out his season. It's going to help out this round for sure. A fistful of dollars and points. But the main man still leading the championship and now extending way off the front is Michael Stephen.
What a show those two Audis put on for the crowds here at the Top Gear Festival. So let's get the confirmation of the results.
Here we go, race number 2 on day number 2. Stephen again, this time Bonafide in second. Van der Linde kept it ahead of Sapuka.
Class T results, Gavin Cronje, another win for him. Jack Javert, Michael van Rooyen, Niaz Modak and Garth Waberski. A clean sweep today, and Gennaro Bonafide kept you really honest in the second race.
Yeah, most definitely. That was a tough race out there. We had a safety car in the beginning with oil on the track, and then a safety car again, still with oil on the track. So being the front car, it wasn't in the optimum position, and after the safety car came in, I had to drive offline and a bit cautious in places. But towards the end, I seemed to have him most of the track, but the second last corner and the last corner onto the back straight, I was battling a bit with Van steer, and he seemed to close up there and down the straight in my toe, and I had to work the whole lap, every lap, to try and get a bit of a gap. But I never did. But yeah, a great race in the end, and well done to Gennaro for excellent race.
Gennaro Bonafide, you looked really hungry out there. An outstanding job in second position.
No, for sure. I mean, we've had a fantastic weekend. The last few race meetings, things have gone a bit tricky for us with some incidents and some errors. But today, I think we've got the monkey off, and we were fast to this last race. We made a couple of changes from yesterday, and Michael was out in front. It's not easy out in front with, like he said, all the conditions, a lot of accidents. So, you know, I'm very happy. We started fourth, challenged Michael for the win. He fended me off very, very well. And, you know, this is what racing's all about. I think this is what it's all, you know, equal cars and what a weekend.
Gavin Cronje, I bet you'd love another weekend like this, wouldn't you? Full sweep in points.
Absolutely. I mean, barring pole position for race one and the fastest lap for the second race's pole position, I scored maximum points. Of course, again, thanks to my teammate, he helped me in race one. He had a bit of a difficult race too. Nonetheless, Mini came through and won the second race with me, and we won the day. Maximum points for championship. So that's what we wanted, and we've achieved it.
First of all, let's talk to you, Jacques. Outstanding results. You must be happy personally about your achievements here in Durban again.
Indeed. Well, every time we come to the Durban street race, this Indy World Sintra is just working perfectly with our Volkswagen GTIs. This year with a new 6, it's been unbelievable. And you know what, our setup, thanks to Nathan and everybody else, Uncle Ian and everybody, my dad and everybody, and happy Father's Day to my dad as well, and to Grumpy himself over here. Just want to say big thanks to the whole team. The car's superb.
Bad luck strikes again.
Yeah, we did a superb job. Jacques did a great job. Unfortunately, Gary had a bit of a brake problem, and going into the hairpin down the bottom, he had brake pump up of some nature, and he smacked me straight on the right front wheel, which changed the wheel alignment quite dramatically. I came in to see whether or not the team could do something about it, but it was damaged too badly, so I just went out to circulate. But my car was superb. Thanks to my bunch of guys as well, Dean, Steve, Chris, and the guys at the office, Indy World, that put in the effort to make sure that we play along. Thank you very much to everybody.
You must be delighted. It's been a clean sweep for your team today, this weekend in Durban, and really it bodes well for the championship ahead.
Yeah, it's been great. I think we did our homework. Michael has been clinical. He really drove well, setting up the fastest times for qualifying. Now, starting in front here is very important. Not easy to pass. But the last few events, I mean, we had numerous pole positions, setting fastest laps. So we've sort of been on the boil. We just don't want that bubble to burst, you know.
Johan Fourie, set back in the championship?
For sure. That's a big one. Look, we're halfway through. We're going to be going to a circuit that suits us, Pakisa, and we're going to work very, very hard. We will be back, and we're going to be fighting very, very hard. This championship's not over yet.
No surprise in the championship to see Michael Steven and the Engen Extreme Audi extending off the front ahead of Van der Linde and Priest dropping to third.
Let's have a look at Class T, and the story continues with Gavin Cronje also extending his lead over Graham Nathan and Jack Joubert. Those are your top three.
Manufacturers' point standings. Audi's taking the most wins on the season, breaking ahead of the wins in the Class T's. Those are the Volkswagens. BMW in third, Mini in fourth.
So recapping, Class A winner, race 1 and 2, Michael Steven.
In the T's, all about Gavin Cronje, the Minis owning the streets of Durban in 2013.
For more information on our Production Car Championship, log in to www.spcc.co.za.
That brings us to the end of round 5 of the Bridgestone Production Cars Championship here at Durban. The streets proved to be disastrous for some drivers, but in the championship, the leaders extended off the front. Michael Steven and Gavin Cronje breaking away to take victories in both races 1 and 2. Thompson, Priest and Fourie lost out to their cars, and in their races, the mechanics will be spinning spanners before the next round.
We now move inland to Pakisa in the Free State for round number 6 on the 3rd of August, and I look forward to seeing you there. So from the sunny skies of a friendly Durban, I'm Steve Bishop with Matt Smith. This is World Class Racing, Bridgestone Production Cars.